Sorry, folks, we were kind of distracted here for a couple of minutes while the weather came through. But we'll go ahead and get started with our meeting. As tradition, we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, welcome to this meeting of the Marion School Board. If anyone from the public would like to speak tonight, please complete one of the green comment cards available on the table at the back of the room and give the card to the board clerk, Ms. Robin Rose, immediately. There's also a list of reminders regarding the rules for public participation on the back table. Please review those prior to commenting. So we'll get started tonight. Consent agenda items are 26-077 through 26-095. Do we have any members here from the public who wish to speak?
No.
Superintendent Lockwood, is there a recommendation?
Mr. Griffin, I recommend that the board approve with one motion and one vote the consent agenda items 26-077 through 26-095 as presented.
Is there any discussion?
0990.
Excuse me, what was that?
I thought she said 095 or
095, that's what I did say. It's 090. Well, no.
No, it's 095.
Yeah, it is 095.
I thought those were action items. Or sorry, am I looking at
It's 26090.
090?
Yeah, you are correct. You're correct, Sarah.
Oh, you are. It says 095 in our
Yeah.
script, so it should be 090.
Yep.
Sorry. Thank you.
I'll make a motion. Second.
So we have a motion and a second. Can I get a roll call, please?
Yep, Mrs. Galt. Aye. Ms. Salamo.
Aye.
Dr. Hart.
Aye.
Mr. Delgado.
Aye.
Mrs. Bento.
Aye.
Mr. Griffin.
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right, so this is appropriate here as our first discussion item. This is 26.091 inclement weather waiver. Dr. Lockwood, could you speak on this, please?
I can. In your board packet, you received a memo. We applied for 2 waivers for 2 days that we missed and were not able to do synchronous learning. The state did approve one of those days, so we've been approved to have 179 school days, which on our calendar when we updated it with our 2 snow makeup days had us finishing school the Tuesday after Memorial Day, and we will go back to finishing the Friday before Memorial Day, which will be on May 22nd. So that is, you don't need to vote on that. That's more of informational to you guys. We will send out a calendar update tomorrow to our families to let them know that the last day of school will be on May 26th or 22nd, and that's the Friday before Memorial Weekend.
Are there any questions from the board on this subject? Okay, thank you, Ms. Lockwood. Our next discussion item is 26-092 virtual school program. Ms. Rianne Aguilar is to comment on this.
Good evening. How are y'all doing tonight?
How are you?
All right. So I do want to say Olivia's gonna come up here and stand with me, but she doesn't normally look like she's been ran through the snow and the wind and all the things. She texted me right before and said, "I'm currently in a hailstorm," so it's okay. All right. So it feels like we have been talking about this forever, virtual school, getting it off the ground. We've had a team kind of behind the scenes getting things planned, so I'm super excited to bring this to you. The goal this evening is really just to go through a framework, not really get in the weeds yet. We want to make sure everything's hammered out, but really just get over a framework and overview of what a virtual academy will look like here at Marion Community Schools. So I want to start with the why. We are seeing a shift in what our families need. We are also seeing a shift in what they want out of education. If you look at the landscape of public education, you can see virtual schools popping up all over the place. Some that are done well, some that are struggling to continue year after year. What we see is attendance challenges in our buildings for various reasons, not always choice reasons. Sometimes it's things that happen for families and they need an option to go online, even if it's not permanent, if it's a short-term fix. The need for flexibility in schedules, families seeking alternatives. Right now we have 300 to 350 families within our Marion Community Schools borders that currently attend virtual school somewhere else. That's a big opportunity for us that we feel like we can capitalize on. And then students leaving Marion altogether, like I said, either going to other schools because we don't offer that, or wanting to look at flexibility, sports, that kind of thing with virtual schools in other places.
How many did you say again? I'm sorry.
300 to 350.
Yeah. Wow.
So with that 350, not only we just need to give them some other opportunities and different structures and how they can get access to education. We want everyone to have a Marion Giant education, right? Because that's what we are after, and that also benefits our community as a whole because it gives them to be have good education and then they can be part of our community. But we have a big problem. We have chronic absenteeism. We have all these different issues that we're dealing with, and our solution is to kind of tailor programming that meets each of these difficulties.
So with that, we want to make sure that we are tailoring the programming to what our families want and what they need. So flexibility, yes, but flexibility with structure. We want to make sure that our students have access to actual teachers and live instruction, and they're not just left to do assignments on their own and then report back to a teacher. So we would have actual daily schedules for these students where they are checking in and meeting with live instruction and having small group times, just like they would have in a classroom. We want them connected to Marion. What we mean by that is if we have after-school programming or if we have extracurriculars, we want them to be able to be invited and be engaged in those things as well. We've connected with Nate to make sure that these students would have the opportunity to be a part of GRCC. We've also talked with our principals about having, if there's an art program, if there are parent nights, things like that, making sure that these students are engaged with our buildings because the goal is to get them back on site. And so if we can engage them in sports and community and friends, then hopefully they would eventually want to come back and see what we do in the buildings. I know currently we have a few students that do come in for art classes. We have a few students that come in for specific like history classes. And the more we can get them engaged in our buildings, the better off we feel like we'll be. Standards aligned instruction, just going back, we want to make sure it's high quality. What we put out, we don't want it to be just thrown together. We want best possible for these kids that are online. And we want to make sure that we're tracking them with accountability and engagement.
So who does this serve? It serves students who have all kinds of diverse needs. We've made sure that as we've started planning, which you'll see in another slide here, that we've made sure we've been inclusive in who that can be and what that can look like for each student based on their needs and their family's challenges or needs that they have as well. It goes all the way from being flexible as far as life meets and all of those things to credit recovery solely if that's what we're after, just to make sure they're on track for graduation so that we can produce more Marion Giants.
I want to hit strategically on this is not a replacement for our classrooms and our traditional. It's just another option that we're trying to get out there. We did have our family coordinator, our Title I family coordinator, reach out to some of these families already. And she had good response coming back in that we did have families that would be open and interested to hearing what we would offer. Out of 60 families she reached out to, she had 35 that said they would be interested. So that will be kind of our first reaching out is through phone to those 300 to 350 and see what we can get back. This really kind of goes into the structure and again, I don't want to get into the weeds, but progress monitoring, real instruction is what we're after. We don't want them just staring at a screen and not engaging with a person. Within the built-in schedule, at least bi-weekly or monthly, we would invite our virtual students in to meet with our principal, meet with our social worker, meet with their teacher live, to kind of catch up on things and have that relational connection. Also, there would be a 30-day, a 60-day, and a 90-day to make sure we are meeting the needs of those students, where a group comes together and make sure that this is the best setting for our kids to be successful in. Right now, we kind of feel like we're losing track and that connection piece, and so we really want to beef that back up in the future. Not that it's what it's all about, but it is about finances as well. For each student, you all know this, $8,500 is what we get per student. For a student that is in a virtual academy, we get 85% of that. Okay, and so these are some goals over the next 3 years. Like I said, we've already reached out to 60 students, and about 35 of them said they would be interested. Our goal for year one is to be 50 to 100 students, and we think we can get to that 100 student mark in year one. And again, we want to do this well. We want to make sure that it's sustainable over a long period of time and not something that in year one we end up with 250 students and we're backtracking. So we want to make sure that we get out in front of it and do it well. That 85% is about $6,800 per student for a virtual student.
If that goes going back and forth like that, if you're wanting to open up so they get back into school, you're giving them the option to potentially be
Take
online
classes.
for, both. If they're in a virtual setting at all, does that mean the 85%, or how does that work when they come back?
There's a certain percentage of the day. Is it half the day? So if they're here for half the day, 3 periods, half the day, then we would get the full 8,500. Okay, and so as we look at options, connections with GRCC, arts, some things that other virtual schools around us don't offer, that connection for them to come in the buildings, and we want to be flexible in that and allowing them to come in.
Will the educators be in the building
Yes.
teaching the virtual?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So educators will be in the building and available. They'll have office hours as well for parents. We've done a much better job this year connecting with our parents through our parent-teacher conversations. We want this to be a staple in that connection with parents.
This might be a question for both of you guys, but is there a specific marketing strategy that we're going to utilize to roll this out?
I think when Ms. Aguilar, what she said was our first outreach is going to be to the 350 families or students in the families that already attend a virtual school setting somewhere. We may have our own thoughts of virtual school. I don't know that I'm 100% sold on virtual school. What I do know is that it's not going away and it's an option we need to look at offering, because as Rhiannon said, it is the best way that we're going to build those relationships with our families and get our kids back into school if that's what the families choose to do. So we're going to start with personal phone calls to those families. That's going to be the first thing that we do. And I think making that personal connection will be about as big of a marketing plan that we can put together.
Okay. Thank you.
So we've been intentional about, we don't want to rush into this. We want it to be good. We want it to be high quality, and we want it to attract families. So we've been intentional. We've been planning, and we put it into phases. You can see the phases outlined here. First phase is obviously your approval as a board. Second phase would be them to be able to get the staffing and the training that we need. The third phase would then to be identify those students, so call and see who is interested in making the leap with us. And then phase 4 would be that family onboarding process. And then 5 would be to roll it out and, with purpose and be intentional with that. Again, it's not a replacement for school. This is an additional option.
Right. And it's an additional option, and it's separate from the GOA kind of thing, like the
This will absolutely take the place of GOA. This
Okay.
is separate from High for our alternative school, where we do have kids that come on site and get some schooling. And we are going to revamp that a little bit too, and we'll bring that to you later. We have looked at our intentionality and how we educate our students even more so. You know, we have focused a lot in the building on what we're doing with our structures and our systems and instruction. Now we're moving to those other options that we have through HYPE and through virtual school, and how we can kind of have those same structures, because for us it's important that education have meaning and that kids are getting out of their classes, whether they are virtual or on site or in HYPE, that is going to be the most meaningful for them to take on and carry on opportunities later on in life.
I commend the effort to do a virtual school. I think it's an idea whose time is right. However, I think it would be good if the leaders of the virtual school were all in with virtual school. I'm hesitant to encourage you to talk about getting them back on campus. I think what we really need to do if we're going to do a virtual school is we're doing a virtual school. If they happen to come back on campus, okay. The extracurriculars, yes, of course. A few years ago, I don't know what the statistic is now, but the largest private university in the state of Indiana was, guess who? Indiana Wesleyan University. About 2,000 to 3,000 students on campus and 12,000 every place else. You look at the brick buildings, it wasn't built by the 3,000 on campus. It was built by the 12,000 who are everywhere, who never come to campus, or hardly ever. And I think that there is a sense in which the virtual school, although it is owned by Marion Community Schools, needs to be separate, needs to be something that we focus on making work as a virtual school. It could well be, now you talk about 372, and you made the comment that maybe there's somebody in Evansville who wants to study with us. It could be that the virtual school could be 10,000 people. I guess I'm saying is, let us really start a virtual school separate from these schools where people come and sit in the classroom, with the idea that we really want to reach that population. Should they decide to come back here, okay.
Yeah.
But our goal is not to get them back. Our goal is to get them the best possible education that we can virtually.
I'm going to add to that. I want you to know that part of when you start a virtual school, if you have more than 100 students that attend virtual school, you're required by the state to have its own administrator that runs that separately from any other building that you have. So that is part of the plan that we do have here. And I don't disagree with what you're saying. And that's why, you know, I did say, even if we don't agree with virtual school, it is a viable option that a lot of people are choosing to do now. And I think for us, we have to focus on giving the best type of education we can, whether it is in our buildings or whether it is online through virtual schooling. So just so if we didn't make that clear enough, I want you to know there will be an administrator assigned to virtual school.
I'm all in for a virtual school, but let the virtual school thrive without worrying about whether or not they come back here. Thank you.
I don't disagree with that at all. I think the comparison to Indiana Wesleyan is a little bit, because I think there is some developmental importance in socialization, and I think it's incumbent upon us to use what we know, you know, just a child development that, you know, that still has some value in that. And the other thing is, while I'm 100% like we should be offering that, and yes, people are choosing it. And one of the biggest things I'm hearing from people from where I work in like Fort Wayne and stuff, in the virtual options, is they don't have that connection. The parents don't have the connection. So I think if and when we do this well, we absolutely will grow. And I would then just hesitate to say that we can take on, you know, an entirely new structure for the state at a time when we are cutting services of all kinds. So in all ways, I think always we have to do the most good for the most kids, which ultimately means that we can't do everything perfectly, but we can do what we can, which is we already have amazing teachers and amazing administrators, and we can lean on those without setting up an entirely private institution.
But yeah, and I think with time, you'll see growth in this. But we want to make sure that we set a foundation this next year and do it really well.
I just had one question. So with this, would this be something we would provide each student with a tablet or laptop or something like that, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So that is one of the things that we thought about and talked about in the sustainability of this. When we take on a student, the last thing we want to do is students that are currently in our buildings to decide to go online. That's not what we want to do. We want to attract new families back to Marion Community Schools. So that is something that we've talked about, is making sure that we have that technology ready for them and that everything is set up for them.
Great.
And the money that we have, the $8,500, would we include with that for each student the annual cost of internet?
That's something that we've discussed. Are you talking about providing like Wi-Fi hotspots, stuff like that?
Yes, so that the Wi-Fi access comes with the program, and we're not expecting the family to somehow or other pay for it.
So we've looked into cellular iPads, which is something that we did during COVID, but it would be something we'd have to discuss on how that looks for families.
I would suggest that with that much money that you have, that sounds like a little bit of money if you're an administrator that's trying to pay huge bills, but for a family, knowing that it's $8,500 that their student is getting from the state, it would be great if you could work out a contract with a local supplier whereby every one of your virtual students has guaranteed internet access.
Well,
That's part of
it's not 8,500. That's if they are here. There are seats
68.
in our classrooms. It's 85% of the 8,500.
Okay. Well, whatever the number is.
Oh, sorry. And also, it's like, even though that's the amount, that's the way the state calculates what we're doing, it doesn't only serve one child. So it's not the same as writing a check to someone, because you are paying for salaries, you are paying for facilities, you are paying for and so I think again, it's a bit misleading to say that there's $6,800 for John to get.
You're absolutely right. But I'm saying if we want it to work, at least in the first year, if we can guarantee that everybody who wants to come has internet access, that would be a selling point.
Yeah, I think access in itself is kind of the purpose, is we're trying to make sure that everybody has access to that Marion Community Schools education. So I hear you, Dr. Hart. I think it's something that we've talked about, making sure that we have cellular iPads that are available, and then also just making sure that our kids have what they need in general.
I read through the packet. One last comment. I read through the packet explaining it. It's outstanding, the amount of planning that your team has done. I think that it's going to launch well. These little questions here are just concerns, and it's fun to see that you've already addressed them. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Do we have any sort of data, maybe whether it's recent or in the past, of how many children have internet access as a hurdle? Anybody have any idea? I'm asking just in general. Is that a challenge that our kids still have in this day and age?
It's something that we put at the forefront of our planning. In COVID, we really were able to see quickly how much don't, right?
Sure.
But even things like chargers, that's stuff that you don't think about, little things. So all of that has to go into the details and the nitty gritty of this. We don't have that number, but we can get it.
Thank you.
All right, thank you all. We're looking forward to a successful launch of this, and we're excited about continuing to have the conversation with you all.
Thank you.
Thank you to you and your team.
Thank
You guys done an excellent job. Thank you.
Thanks for all
I
the research.
want to let you know we decided to present this to you guys tonight and let you guys think about it over the next couple of weeks. So we are going to bring a vote to you at the next board meeting for us to move forward in starting our virtual school. So if you have any more questions for next board meeting, please bring those as you look into the information that was given to you tonight.
Okay, moving on to our action items. This is 26-093. Do we have any members from the public wishing to speak on any of this? Okay. It is update to MHS course description guide.
What was included in your packet, and I know that Mrs. Philippi is here if there's any questions, but this was standard. We have to get our course description guides approved early enough so our kids can sign up for courses for next year. And sometimes the state doesn't get around to updating the courses until around April or May. So the changes that we are bringing to the board tonight to our course description guide is just to make that alignment with the new changes that came out of the state. So they may tweak some course numbers or tweak some course names or things that are happening there. So we have not changed any of our course descriptions or any of the courses that we're offering, but we have aligned numbers and titles to what the state has done in their changes. So,
Any questions from the board members? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Or a second? We have a roll call, please, Ms. Rose.
Yep. Mrs. Galt.
Aye.
Ms. Salamo.
Aye.
Dr. Hart.
Aye.
Mr. Delgado.
Aye.
Mrs. Bento.
Aye.
Mr. Griffin.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next action item we have is 26-094, request for approval to close GCCJC.
This memo here provides information about a request to officially close out a program that has not been running for the past, I think we tried to decide 8, 9, or 10 years. This was a school number that was assigned to the Justice Detention Center, and it was given an IDOE number. That detention center has been closed, and we are not offering any educational services there, and have not been for years. So this is more of a house cleaning item for Marion Community Schools, and we are asking permission to ask the state to kind of disband the school number for us.
Says here it's been closed since 2020.
Yeah, there you go. 221. So
Yeah.
not quite as long as we thought, but
Right.
almost
Wow.
as long. So during COVID, it closed down.
Mr. Hoeksma, did you have anything else to add to that, or any questions from the board? Seeing none, we have a motion.
Motion.
Second.
We have a roll call, please.
Yep. Mrs. Galt.
Aye.
Ms. Salamo.
Aye.
Dr. Hart.
Aye.
Mr. Delgado.
Aye.
Mrs. Bento.
Aye.
Mr. Griffin.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next action item we have is 26-095, recommendation for contract cancellation. Our last action item ties regarding a recommendation for a contract cancellation.
That's me again. On February 24th, 2026, Janelle Barkdahl was given written notice of the preliminary decision of Principal Alicia Morrell to cancel her teaching contract, effective immediately upon the final decision of the school board. This notice advised Janelle Barkdahl of her right to a conference with the superintendent, should one be requested, within 5 days of receiving the written notice of the principal's preliminary decision. Janelle Barkdahl requested a conference within the allotted time, but then canceled the request. In accordance with Indiana Code 20-28-7.5-2E, if there is no conference, the principal's preliminary decision is considered final. Therefore, I move that the School Board of Trustees cancel the teaching contract of Janelle Barkdahl effective immediately.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Galt.
Aye.
Ms. Salamo.
Aye.
Dr. Hart.
Aye.
Mr. Delgado.
Aye.
Mrs. Bento.
Aye.
Mr. Griffin.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, next up on the agenda is the board committee reports. Is there any committee members have anything to report?
I was just going to say I'm part of the Head Start in the preschool. Just wanted to kind of give an update that they are taking the safety of all the students very serious, and they have been going through training with all classroom teachers and any of their assistants, and so everybody's going through training and going through and putting processes and procedures in place just to make sure that everybody's informed and they're keeping our kids as safe as possible. So just an update to let you know that that's kind of going on and that's what they're doing. So that's what I had.
Thank you. Any other updates?
I have something to say about legislation. I handed out to all of you something I've brought it up before, talking about electronic devices that students bring to school, and the state has made a new law, and the state has said that we have to have something in place that's posted on our website. And I'm not sure if we've done it already or not. We all, I think, received some suggested option A, option B from Indiana School Board Association, and that's that piece of paper that I gave you as to what we might consider. And then also they sent out another document, which I'm not sure any of us have read through. It's their handbook for student discipline. And items number 28 and 29 could be very helpful for our policy committee because they end up saying that these are the things that go into the student handbook, and they're very readable. It's very short. You didn't get that. I printed out one copy, and I'm happy to give it to Superintendent. I think this probably will be my last report on wireless. It's the third time I've said something, but I think with option A, option 1, option 2, and this document that they've sent us, we have enough information to make whatever decision that we need to make, and our policy committee can work with it in a remarkably quick way.
Thank you, Dr. Hart. Any other comments? All right. Do we have any public comments at this time?
No.
Okay, thank you. Marion Teacher Association comments.
We have officially started the iLearn window for grades 3 through 8. Please be kind to the teachers and students.
Superintendent comments.
I stole what I was going to say. We have started testing season. We're all get excited for spring break, but we also know that when we come back from spring break, testing season starts, which will take us all the way up to the end of the school year. So, just encourage parents to encourage your students to come to school every day and just do the best they can on the test. Let's try to make this as stress-free as possible. We do want them to give their best effort. Be kind to teachers. This is a very, very stressful time for all of us when we have to deal with testing and different things like that. But I know that with the efforts that they're giving, we will be good and we will continue to make progress. So I hope too, with the surprise weather that we've had, that we all go out and our cars are okay. I do need to say that. So I just have to finish with that tonight. So I don't either.
Thank you, Dr. Lockwood. Is there any board comments?
I just want to say, good luck to those kids that are taking the tests, and good luck to the teachers that are going through it as well. Testing season. Also, good luck to the spring sport athletes as they started in full force. And just to say that the production of Annie this past weekend was great, and it was something that you're proud of. Just to see that department flourish, and I'm just proud of what it was, and it was a great performance. So just thank you to all those that were involved with Annie.
Any other comments?
I had the opportunity to meet Indiana Wesleyan today at lunch, and to my surprise, I was met by 8th graders from McCullough, and they were there learning. And it was exciting to see them. There was a GRCC presentation there as well, and I commend our administrators for planning something like that so that all of the kids had a chance to be there and participate. I understand it's a requirement from the state that every district has to provide a university visit opportunity for their students, and apparently this met that requirement. But it was fun to see the excitement of the kids. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hart. I would like to read as customary, I'd like to read the donations we accepted this go around. MHS Alumni Association donated $25 to the MHS JROTC. Hutamaki Corporation donated $20,000 to GRCC Advanced Manufacturing. So congratulations to that, Nate. MHS Alumni Association to GRCC Aviation for the sum of $4,000. Parker and Karina Smithley donated to MHS Band for $110. Brad and Carrie Terhune donated to the MHS Band for $90. And Brandon and Gloria Hancock donated to MHS Band for $72, which brings our total to $58,082.99 for the year. So thank you everybody for their donations. That's incredible if we get that much money brought in from our alumni association. Also, hopefully everybody's careful. I know we had hail just a little bit ago, so hopefully that's it for the night, and nobody suffered damage to their houses or cars. So this meeting is adjourned. There's no further business. Next scheduled meeting of the Board of School Trustees will be regular meeting on April 28th, 2026 at 6:30 here in the district boardroom. Good night.
Damage.